Now, with 2022 coming to a close in a couple of weeks, it gave me an opportunity to look back over the last 12 months at some of the tools, applications, and software that have changed the way in which I work or the way I approach work. And in this video, I wanted to kind of do a little bit of a retrospective to take a look at some of those and discuss why they are so important to my workflow. Now stick around to the end because I have a couple of new tools you may not have heard of, ones that I reckon you should check out and take a look at keeping an eye on into 2023. Okay, so first off, let's cover the tool that I said was the game changer for me in 2022, and that is Eagle. Now, Eagle is basically an asset management tool. Very, very simple sounding, but it's incredibly powerful. And the nice thing is there's no subscriptions or anything like that. You can literally grab this for a one-time fee and then you can use it on multiple devices. And additional seats are also incredibly cheap, around $14, $15 per additional seat. In other words, additional computers. Now, why do I like this so much? Well, I would recommend checking out the dedicated video, which I'll link in the description below, because I go into more detail in there. But the main reason is it gives me one centralized location. I've then paired this up as my storage location is in pCloud. Now, you could use Dropbox or anything like that that puts a drive on your computer. But what this means is all of my devices that log into that same account, that pCloud account, have access to all of the same data. So I can share all my assets across all my devices simply by uploading the file into the Eagle app. So if we go ahead and take a look at my copy of Eagle, you can take a look on the left-hand side, and I've got some organization inside here. Now, the nice thing with this is you're not restricted to just having image files. You can have video files, links to video files, text documents, GIFs, video files, all manner of different types of files. And as you can see, if we look down the left-hand side, I've got things organized into things like general assets. So I use a lot of hand-drawn elements. This is a collection of hand-drawn arrows that I can use. And I can simply drag these out of here, drop those into whatever tool I'm using, like Affinity Photo or anything like that, and I have access to that immediately, directly from one centralized location. Then if I'm sharing information or files across multiple different computers, they all have access to this based upon my access in pCloud. You can see I've also got things like design inspiration, so you can see there's different blog designs. I can double click, open this up, get a better idea of it. There's information down the right-hand side then, the primary colors. I can drop in information about it. I can organize these, tag them, do different things like that. If I'm looking for inspiration for YouTube thumbnails, I can simply come into here and you can see I've got a bunch of different thumbnails. Double click again, same information down the side. I can rate these, all the things you expect to do. And it's super, super simple. For example, if I find an image online, I can simply do this. Let's say I like the look of this one. I can simply click and drag, and you see now I can go ahead and I can drop this into any of the folders that I've created. So for example, I've got YouTube inspiration videos or YouTube videos or thumbnails and so on. I can simply drop that inside there and boom, that's now been added into my shared library inside the Eagle app. And if I come into untagged, you can see there it is. I can simply click it and I can go ahead. I can tag this with any of the tags I've created. I can rate it. I can do anything I want. And then that will automatically organize that the way that I want it to. I can drag and drop these into any of the folders. It is incredibly simple to use, but I just love it. It really is such a simple app and I'm so glad I found it. And I use this pretty much every single day. Now, I take an awful lot of screenshots when it comes to creating videos, sharing things on social media and so on. And prior to me using Xsnapper, or Snapper as it's kind of called, I used to do these by hand and they were okay, but they never really looked as good as they do here. Now, let me just show you how easy this is. Let's just say I like the look of this. I can simply use my keyboard shortcut. I can then drag over what I want, let go. That will then open up Snapper, as it's called, and you can see now I've got a beautiful looking layout all set up for me. Now I can adjust various different parameters on here. So if I want to adjust the padding, I can adjust that to give me more space around it. I can adjust the inset, so if I'm kind of cropping a little close, you can see I can easily compensate for that. I can change background colors, I can change the shadow effect on there, I can turn it off completely, I can bump it up so it's a massive shadow. I could even set various different aspect ratios. So if I know I'm going to share this to Facebook, I can select the Facebook option. I can choose where I'm going to share that, the timeline, for example. Select it. That will then resize that automatically for me. Now, if I want to, I can go ahead and add some simple annotations. I will be glad when this expands a little further, something like CleanShot does, but for now we've got some basics. And I can just drop in arrows, or I can drop in annotations 1, 2, and so on. I can go ahead, I can save this, I can copy it and just close it down. You know, it's really simple. I can save my own presets, and then once I finish with it, I can then just share it, delete it from here, and do whatever I want. A couple of other cool things on here. You can see we've got redact sensitive information and show watermark text. So if you wanted to watermark your screen grabs, you can drop in the website address, whatever you want. But if you've got information like emails or names and things like that, this will go ahead and try to automatically redact it. In other words, just blur those things out. So you don't have to manually do it, which again is a super cool little feature. Now, Snapper isn't a particularly expensive little tool, and there are free variations that do very similar things. I just happen to like this one. And if you've got Setup, you've got a subscription with that, which gives you tons of different applications. This is included with it, alongside a ton of other really cool add-ons for your Mac. Unfortunately, it is a Mac-only option. Next on my list is a SaaS that's really made my life much easier. It's to save me countless hours in the last couple of months where I bought it and I've been using it. Now, this is InstaWP. And what does it do? It allows you to spin up a copy of WordPress in a matter of seconds. You can create templates that have your favorite themes, plugins, and so on pre-installed, and then you can spin those up in seconds with everything installed for you. There's a bunch of other things you can do as well, and I would always recommend checking out the feature set. Let me just log in and just show you what I'm talking about. So once you've logged in to your account, you'll see this gives me now a range of different sites that I've created. But let me just show you how easy it is to spin up a copy of WordPress. Let's go ahead, click on Add New. We can choose what version of WordPress, right the way up to nightly builds if we want to be on the bleeding edge. For this, so we'll leave it 6.11, which is the latest at the time of recording this. We can choose what PHP version we want. So again, this is useful if you want to test something on an older server setup. This allows you to do it. We leave it though at 8.1, and then we can choose the default configuration or one of our cutting edge or whatever kind of templates we've created. And as you can see, we can create templates and save those. We can create a temporary site which will last for up to 7 days, or we can reserve that site and only when we delete it will it be got rid of. So this is great if you want to test something out but you want to have a lot longer. Pretty cool. Once you've done that, we click on create a site. This is then done. You literally saw that. There was no pausing, there was no nothing. That was pretty much in the space of about 1 second, and the site is spin up. Let's go ahead and just check it out. There you go. You can see we've got a copy of WordPress already installed. We can now go ahead and start working with it. We can come into here, we can go ahead and we can log in, we can copy a link if you want to share that with someone else. We can edit the database, you've got a code editor inside you, you've got logs inside you. There's a ton of different things. And once you've created this, if you want to, you can see we've got more options. We can auto log in to go straight into the dashboard. We can reserve this site so we can lock it so it doesn't get deleted after that 7-day period. We can go ahead, save this as a template. So if we make some changes to it, we add some themes and customization and so on. Once we're happy with everything, we can just save this as a template. Boom, we can use that when we create our next site. And we've also got more actions so we can adjust the PHP config, view credentials, migrate it. So you could use this to set things up and test things and make sure everything's okay. Then you could migrate this over to an actual live site. And there's a bunch of other things. You can clone this, you can delete it, you can set domain suffixes and so on. We've also got options for storing our templates. So you can see I've got a template inside here. We can share templates if we want to. We can set up custom configurations inside here. So where you saw I got a specific version of WordPress and a specific version of PHP, I can set that up inside here. I can set faker information so it'll automatically add some content into the site. Great if you're demoing things. You've got deployments, you've got integrations. It's a great little platform, and if you have a need to spin up sites for testing, for demonstration purposes, all manner of different things, this is something you may want to check out. That's InstaWP. Next on my list, I want to talk about a block level plugin for Gutenberg. I know a lot of people don't like Gutenberg, and that's totally understandable. But if you are in the WordPress world and you want to take a look at Gutenberg, I would recommend checking out Generate Blocks. Now, there's a free version and a pro or premium version. I'm using the premium version on everything that I'm using it with. However, don't let that put you off testing the free version. The reason why I like this so much is that the free version has pretty much everything you need to get started to create dynamic websites, integrated directly into it. So you don't need to have additional plugins. You could pair this up with the free version of ACF, or Advanced Custom Fields, and you could really start creating some pretty powerful websites with no expenditure whatsoever. However, if you want to then move up to the Pro or Premium version, that adds even more functionality into it. I've been using this now for the last couple of months, and I bought this when it first came out, and I kind of wrote it off. I took a little play about it, it's like, it's not really doing what I want. Going back to it and pairing it up with GeneratePress, I absolutely love it. You get incredibly fast sites, you don't get bogged down by 1,000,001 settings, and the cost is pretty good too, if you want to go for the premium versions. But check out the free versions for yourself and see just how good they actually are. Now, I very recently got into prototyping using Figma, and I've just released a course that's also covering how to use Figma alongside WordPress. Link in the description if you want to sign up to be notified when the next enrollment phase opens up. But why I like it is because once you kind of realize how much faster and more productive these kinds of tools can make you, you won't look back to the ways you've done it previously, maybe using things like Photoshop or Illustrator, or sort of directly editing and creating layouts inside things like Bricks Builder, Elementor, or WordPress on its own. This gives you the ability to spot problems quicker and easier, make iterations and versions of a design, or just kind of go to town with a range of different versions, a range of different designs, so much quicker. Figma is the de facto standard when it comes to prototyping. However, they've recently been bought out by Adobe, and that may put some people off. If you want something that gives you pretty much most of the power and is growing very, very quickly, you may want to take a look at Lunacy. Now, Lunacy comes from Icons 8, a library where you've got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of icons, photographs, illustrations, all manner of different things. This app is totally and utterly free. There's a couple of things that are behind a paywall if you want to have access to the high resolution icons and certain image formats and so on, but the actual builder itself, the editor, the designer, whatever you want to call it, is free. The thing I like about this, and one of the reasons why I've been using it myself, is that it's not an online based tool. It's actually an application you download and install on either Linux, Mac, or on Windows. So all bases are pretty much covered, apart from things like tablets. But I've been using this for a while. I'm going to create some more content on this very soon. But if you're looking for a great prototyping tool and you may not want to use Figma, or you just want to have more than one tool in your arsenal, check out both Figma and Lunacy. Totally free to use, totally free to get started with, totally free to create great looking prototypes and speed up your workflow. And like I said, if you want to check out my course, information down in the details below. Now, I've been getting into integrations for quite some time now. And what do I mean by integrations? Connecting up various different tools that I use. For example, connecting WordPress to my email platform to my learning platform through to my actual cart platform. You kind of get the picture where I'm coming from with this. I've looked and tested quite a few things out. Now, Zapier is probably the one that most of us are familiar with, but Zapier is expensive. So I bought into Public Connect probably about 12 months ago on a recommendation from a couple of different people, and I found it pretty straightforward to actually start working with. And what it allows me to do is connect up all these different moving pieces to have a much more streamlined process. There are various different ways in which you can use this. You don't have to have a tool or platform like Public Connect or Zapier or Integromat or Make.com. Like I said, there's a lot of different options. You also have ones that work inside WordPress if you're a WordPress user. They are a little bit more limited to what you can do with something like Public Connect. But if you are in the market for automation, I would recommend checking it out. They have a lifetime deal on, which is not overly cheap to get started with. However, it can save you a lot of money in the long run if you start using this for more than one simple scenario. Check out Public Connect, see if that's something that is useful for you moving forward. Now, I know you may say that sliders in WordPress or in web design are something that from 2018 and we should avoid them like the plague. However, I think they've got a bit of a bad rap because of some older software that maybe was a little bit heavyweight and slowed everything down. Take a look at Depicter. Now, I covered the free version of this because that's all there was at the time, about 4 or 5 months ago, and that got over 50,000 views on it very, very quickly. So there's obviously a market out there for these types of tools. A pro or premium version has come out recently, and as you can see, there's a 40% discount on that at this point in time. No affiliate links in the description about this, but if you want to check it out and you like what the pro version offers, take a look. However, the free version has tons of useful, powerful features, and that's all that's covered in the video that I covered this on a couple of months ago. So if you're on the market for something that's a really well-designed, well-specified set of tools, you may want to check out Depicter. Check out the video first, see what you think of it, and take a look at that free version. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I released a video on a pile of plugins you probably never heard of for WordPress. And a couple of those stuck with me because I thought they were such good options supplied by the WPTuts community that I wanted to highlight them because I think there's something that I will be using a lot more in 2023 moving forward. The first one is temporary login without password. Again, a totally free plugin that does one simple job. It allows you to create temporary login links and then share those with people, and they don't have to have a username or password. This is perfect. If you're working with clients, building their designs out, you want to give them access just so they can take a look and give some feedback, but you don't want them to have full long-term access. Or you may have a problem and you want to share these credentials with technical support. This is a plugin you may want to check out. Temporary login without password. Free, easy, does one job and does one job well. Link in the description. Now, the final tool I want to talk about is Bay, or Bulk Editor and Product Manager for WooCommerce. If you are a WooCommerce user, you'll know that editing content and updating products and dealing with price and all those kinds of things, you kind of understand where I'm coming from. It is not a fun job when you're in and out of different screens and going through different tabs, and it just gets a bit of a pain. Bay is a totally free tool that allows you to do so much more inside the WooCommerce dashboard. Now, once you've gone ahead and installed and activated Bay, you'll notice that when you come into your WooCommerce product section, you have a new entry called Bay Bulk Editor. Inside there, we now have a much more powerful dashboard to work from. We've got comprehensive filter options across the top. You can automatically choose variations of any product and edit those variations directly inside here. So we click on variations, for example, select all variations. Any product that has variations, as you can see highlighted in yellow, we can make changes to those without the need to go in and edit the actual product itself. You want to edit any of the content on any of these? I can edit the content for the description. I can do the same for short description. I can change the type, status. I can adjust the pricing, but I can also not just adjust the pricing. I can click and I can work out calculations on the pricing. So I may want to drop the price of these by 10%. I can use a calculation to calculate that and then drop it by 10%. Same things for sale prices. I can ask SKU codes. I can adjust. You kind of get the picture. This is just scratching a little bit of the surface of what you can do with this. So if you are a WooCommerce store owner or you have a client, you may want to check out Bay. Now, there is a pro or premium version of Bay, but I think the free version gives you so much power. For most use cases, that's all you're going to need. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said stick around to the end because I've got a couple of honorable mentions or tools that I think you should check out for yourself and keep an eye on in 2023 because I think they have the potential to be incredibly powerful. The first one is Cube WP. Now, imagine you've got a tool like Advanced Custom Fields. ACF simply allows you to create meta fields. However, if you look at something like MetaBox or Toolset, they have more options available. You can create your custom post types, you can create your meta fields, you can create filters, you can do all manner of different things with those tools. Cube WP is a new player in that market. The free version of the tool gives you a lot of useful features. So you can create your custom post types, your taxonomies, your meta fields, all those things. You can create relationships, things that you need some paid for or premium versions when it comes to ACF or MetaBox and so on. However, there's also a premium set of tools that open up even more functions when it comes to Cube WP. So the premium version allows you to go ahead and add in extra functionality. Things like front-end forms. You've got payment options. Now, some of these are not available yet. They're still in development, but they will be coming. You've also got on-site messaging, post reviews and ratings, promote and boost traffic, calendar bookings, and so on. Why is this something that I think you should keep an eye on? Because I think when you've got tools that actually all integrate together into one platform, it reduces the need for external plugins and therefore reduces the potential for problems. Now, while you've got things like Front-End Pro and you've got payments and so on, currently they are relatively simple. I would recommend checking out the videos that Dave McCann from WebTNG released recently covering some of the different features available. I'll link to his videos down below so you can check those out. And I will be covering Cube WP myself over the coming weeks, but probably not until 2023. So keep an eye on it, have a look at the options, take a look at David's videos, because I think you may find this interesting. Yes, it's still early days. Yes, there's still an awful lot left to be brought to the table to have this compete with the tools like Metabox and so on. But this is why I say keep an eye on it moving forward into 2023. Next on my list is Flowmatic. Now, we talked about Pabbly Connect a little earlier on where we've got automations, and I said there are WordPress-based automation tools that are interesting to look at. Uncanny Automator is one that's been around for quite some time, and I've covered that in a couple of videos. Again, links in the description below so you can check that out. Flowmatic is a similar kind of tool to Uncanny Automator, but we've got a lot of integrations, and the developer is open to suggestions on how to move this forward. I've spoken to him a couple of times. He's an incredibly nice gentleman. Some of the suggestions I've made, he's already integrated into the platform. So that's pretty cool to see. Because of integrations, you can see there's already a bunch of integrations, including things like Elementor and so on. And for me, I like tools like InCharge. I use Better Uptime, Elementor Forms and so on. So it's good to have these built into the platform itself. So you can connect things up to Google Drive, to your Google Spreadsheets, Gravity Forms. You know, there's all manner of different things. And you can even connect this up to Pabbly Connect. So you can expand what you can do. So if it's not covered inside Flowmatic and it is covered in Pabbly Connect, you could connect those two and you could get even more powerful. Working with it is very, very simple. You can see inside here we've got a range of different options and we can build up our own custom workflows. But what makes this powerful is the fact that you can create really comprehensive WordPress-based functions. So for example, you can see this is a really simple contact to Google. If we open this up, let's come down and just say I want to add another. So if I click to add a new action in, you can see now I can go ahead and I can choose an application. But I've also got things like text formatter, maths, counters, PHP functions. These are all things you can do inside WordPress itself. So you really can get very, very comprehensive with this. It connects up to a lot of the tools that I use, things like Thrivecart, Google Drive, and so on. I can create filters, I can create API connections, I can create delays. There's a lot of different things you can do inside here that go beyond what you'll see inside a lot of external to WordPress tools. Flowmatic is still relatively new. There's a lifetime deal, I believe, on at the moment, and I'm not sure if there's a free version to this. I haven't actually tested that out. But I would recommend checking out if you're in the marketplace to work with automations and you really want to do things inside your WordPress websites. Check out Flowmatic. It's one to keep an eye on in 2023. Now, a little earlier, we talked about Figma and we talked about Lunacy when you want to come to prototyping your designs. But there is a third app that I would recommend taking a look at, and that is Penpot. Now, I didn't include this in the one that's kind of a game changer for me in 2022 because in my testing, it has been a little bit flaky. But there's a lot of money being invested into this platform since the announcement that Adobe was buying out Figma. So this is something that's going to grow and expand and become more powerful as more investment is brought to the table. But again, this gives you a lot of options. This is a browser-based tool, unlike Lunacy. So if you're happy working that way, this opens up the ability to work in basically anything. As long as you've got a browser on it, you can pretty much open it up. And it gives you a lot of great features. Testing it out, there's some nice, unique things you have inside Penpot. I won't go into too much detail because I will create a video dedicated to showing how to use all this. So if you are looking for a browser-based tool to replace something like Figma or to complement it, I would recommend checking out Penpot. I think it's got a lot of really interesting features being brought to the table, and that investment, I think, is going to be well spent on creating a great platform. So those are the tools, the plugins, the themes, the SaaS services, and so on that have changed the way that I work in 2022, and things that I think that you and I should keep an eye on in 2023. I think they're going to develop into some really solid tools. But I'm going to open the floor up to you now. What tools, services, plugins, themes, whatever it is, doesn't have to be WordPress, just design related. Drop those in the comment section below so I can go ahead and check them out. As always, all the applicable links are down in the description. Mine is Paul C. This is WPTuts. Until next time, take care.